Hi folks, welcome back to Booze with Nick. I know it's been a long time since I've done a full-length episode where I actually sat down and spoke in depth about, well, some booze. The occasion today to return to the longer form videos is my return to serious wine tasting. Several years ago, I took the WSET 1 and 2 curricula, the Wine and Spirits Educational Trust. It's I believe, a nonprofit that puts out, well, wine education and certification courses. I got through levels 1 and 2 and am eyeing the third one, but wanted to go back and review. There's a lot of content, a lot of educational content in the second one in particular that I didn't really master at the time. I sort of got through the tastings, partially understood what I was doing, what I was looking at. I want to go back and consolidate my gains, so to speak. So I decided to jump right into a varietal that I've been long curious about, Albariño, which is grown really principally in a geographical indication called Rías Baixas in Galicia in northwestern Spain, right on the border across the Rio Minho with Portugal, where it's also grown and spelled slightly differently and used in Portuguese Vinho Verde. Anyways, in Spain, in Rías Baixas, it is sold simply as Albariño, which is unusual, well, for European wines in general, and certainly for Spanish wines, where the wine is almost always named after its geographic indication. Not so with the Rías Baixas Albariños. They are labeled as the varietal, and with good cause. It's really an interesting grape. So it is, Rías Baixas is right on the Atlantic coast, and it's very wet, very cool, maybe the wettest, coolest part of Spain. And kind of the geography is dominated by these rias. These are kind of like fjords almost that cut into the coastline and funnel, well, maritime weather up onto the grape growing regions. It's about 9,000 acres, 3,900 hectares, I think. So a very small area. There are actually 5, I guess, sub-regions within the Rías Baixas. I won't go into all of them. They're non-contiguous, and some are on the coast, and 1 or 2 are more inland. I have 2 wines that are from the more coastal areas here today. This Burgans is from Pontevedra, which is close to the coast, and then the Segrel is from Meaña, if I'm getting that name correct. Meaño, excuse me, which is in the Val do Solnés sub-region within Rías Baixas. Albariño is well suited to the maritime climate. It's a thick-skinned grape, resistant to fungus, resistant to rot that can come with damper grape-growing climates. It's also not a particularly bountiful grape. It doesn't produce a lot, and it tends to be a little bit on the pricier side. You won't be getting any great steals on your Albariño. That's okay. If you need a great steal on a wine, go buy an Uco Valley Malbec and thank me later. It's a very light wine. It is almost exclusively unoaked and even fermented, actually, in steel vats. So these wines basically never touch wood. Apparently that's changing. Some of the winemakers are experimenting with oak. I'm not a big fan of wine interacting too much with wood, and with this varietal, I really don't see how it's possibly a good idea because it is such a light-bodied, delicate wine. I just feel like oak is going to wipe it out. But who knows? It may also add some complexity because, as we'll see, that's not exactly the strong suit of this grape. So let me open up my tasting notes here off camera. I know that was graceful. So on the Burgans, I got lemon, fresh apricot, some pronounced, slightly sweet Not overly sweet or perfumey, but slightly sweet floral notes on it. Definitely came across as a very unaged and completely unoaked wine. On the palate, the same flavors that were on the nose came through pretty clearly. Wonderful acidity. It's a very refreshing, kind of, as Karen McNeil would say, a racy wine. If you drink it, you'll know what she's talking about, and you'll probably agree. The acid is not bracing, it's just nice and lively and bright. Really good. I really enjoyed it. Not a complex wine, and the finish is barely there. Again, I liked it. I also liked the Segrel, not as much, and it was lacking in complexity to the point where it was almost a little dull. Still, very good, similar kind of, very similar to the Bourgognes, but just not as developed. The floral and citrus notes on the nose and palate were there, but a little indistinguishable, a little hard to pick out and, you know, give good proper wine tasting names to. Still a nice wine, and I think both wines, while not wowing with complexity, are going to do exactly what they're designed to do, which is complement the seafood-heavy diet of Galicia. I think these are both going to be very food-friendly wines. I think they're going to do super with simply prepared, well, fresh seafood. In particular, I would kind of say like shellfish. I'm kind of wishing I had some scallops in the house right now, actually. Probably be good with a lighter goat cheese, which we'll be experimenting with here very shortly in the Booze household. Right, sweetheart? Anyways, great wines. Not tremendous values. $19.99 and $21.99 at the local grocery store, but definitely a good first foray into a varietal that I've been curious about for a long time, and a wine-producing region, Spain and Portugal, Iberia, that I know nothing about from a vinological perspective. A little final on-camera tasting here. This is the Bourgognes. Oh, love that acid. Actually, as the wine's opening up and warming a little bit, the acid actually feels even a little bit sleeker. Very nice, very polished feel in the mouth. If you like lighter white wines, then do yourself a favor and check out Albariño. Doesn't necessarily have to be from Rias Baixas. I'll be doing some videos in the future looking at Portuguese Vinho Verde as well, because hey, why not? Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I sincerely appreciate it. And stay tuned for a lot more in-depth wine content coming up on the channel. In the meantime, drink well, live well, be well.